When we think of ancient Rome, we often imagine grand feasts, lavish banquets, and indulgent meals among the elite. But just like today, everyday Romans, especially the working class, often relied on quick, cheap, and tasty food. Ancient Rome had its own version of junk food, available on the go, rich in carbs and fat, and often sold in the streets or at small snack bars. Here's a deep dive into what Roman fast food was like. Street food in the Roman Empire. While wealthy Romans dined in style at home or in elite banquets, many common citizens, especially in crowded cities like Rome or Pompeii, didn't have kitchens in their homes. Instead, they turned to street food or quick bites at thermopolia, ancient fast food joints that served hot meals to go. These establishments were widespread. Archaeologists have uncovered hundreds of them, particularly in Pompeii. They featured large jars called dolia sunk into a counter, where vendors stored prepared foods like stews, beans, lentils, or seasoned meats. Popular junk food items in ancient Rome. 1. Ancient Roman panis, the original junk food. When we think of junk food today, we picture greasy fries, sugary sodas, or instant noodles. But in ancient Rome, one of the most commonly consumed and mass-produced food items could easily be considered the junk food of its time, panis, or Roman bread. Roman bread came in many forms, from artisanal loaves to coarse, mass-produced buns sold in street markets. While bread was a staple of the Roman diet, the lower classes often consumed versions that were far from nutritious. These loaves, typically made from refined white flour or even poor-quality grain mixed with bran, ash, or even sand, were cheap, filling, and widely available. Bakers would sometimes cut corners by using inferior ingredients, leading to loaves that were heavy, dry, and barely digestible. Panis quadratus, the iconic round, pre-scored Roman bread found in Pompeii ruins, is an example of how uniform and commercialized bread had become by the 1st century CE. These loaves were easy to carry, easy to break apart, and often accompanied by wine or olives, making them a kind of ancient fast food. In large urban centers like Rome, street vendors would sell hot, ready-to-eat bread to passers-by. The convenience, low cost, and addictive nature of warm, carbohydrate-rich bread made it especially popular among the working class and soldiers. Though revered as a dietary cornerstone, Roman bread lacked vital nutrients, much like many modern processed snacks. For the poor, it filled the stomach but offered little else. Over time, reliance on cheap panis contributed to nutritional deficiencies. So while the Romans didn't have potato chips or candy bars, their bread, ubiquitous, overprocessed, and nutritionally lacking, played a similar role. In many ways, panis was the ancient world's answer to junk food. 2. Ancient Roman libum, a sweet slice of junk food history. Long before modern cupcakes and cheesecakes, the ancient Romans had libum, a rich, sweet cheese bread that could easily be considered the dessert junk food of its time. Often served as an offering to the gods, libum eventually became a popular treat in Roman households, especially among the wealthy and elite. Libum was made from a simple mixture of fresh cheese, usually ricotta-like, eggs, and flour, sometimes sweetened with honey. Baked on hot stones or in ovens, the result was a dense, creamy cake with a slightly crisp crust and soft, rich center. In a society where sweeteners were rare and dairy was a luxury, libum was considered an indulgent delicacy. But as Roman cuisine evolved and sweet foods became more accessible, libum transitioned from a ceremonial item to an everyday luxury treat. Honey was used more liberally, and some versions included extra fats, nuts, or spices. By the height of the Roman Empire, libum had all the hallmarks of junk food: sugary, calorie-dense, easy to overeat, and served at banquets or festive gatherings more for pleasure than nutrition. For the elite, libum symbolized wealth and indulgence. For the common Roman, it was a rare and irresistible treat, one that could be found at street stalls or bakeries during festivals. Its appealing taste and richness made it a favorite among children and adults alike. Despite its religious origins, libum's transformation into a sugary, satisfying dessert shows how even ancient civilizations enjoyed their version of guilty pleasures. While it lacked preservatives or artificial flavors, its high fat and sugar content made it more of a decadent snack than a wholesome meal. In short, libum was ancient Rome's version of a cheesecake, delicious, indulgent, and absolutely junk food by ancient standards. 3. Ancient Roman garum-flavored dishes, the salty junk food of the empire. In ancient Rome, one ingredient reigned supreme in kitchens, taverns, and street stalls: garum, a pungent fermented fish sauce. Made by layering fish intestines with salt and allowing it to ferment in the sun for weeks, garum was the Romans' go-to flavor booster, much like ketchup, hot sauce, or soy sauce today. And just like modern condiments, garum often found its way into fast, salty, and not-so-nutritious fare. Garum was used in everything from stews and roasted meats to bread and even desserts. Its strong, salty flavor made cheap food taste better, masking spoilage and poor-quality ingredients. In Rome's bustling cities, street vendors and taverns served quick garum-drenched dishes, such as fried pastries, sausages, or flatbreads, giving hungry passers-by a hit of umami and salt with every bite. These quick garum-infused meals were inexpensive, satisfying, and highly addictive, especially for the working class and soldiers. However, the nutritional value was questionable. Dishes loaded with garum were often high in sodium and paired with fatty meats or deep-fried components, offering flavor over health, much like today's fast food. Even writers of the time had mixed feelings. While elite Romans enjoyed garum in refined recipes, satirical poets mocked its overpowering stench and its use in cheap tavern meals. Some lower-grade garum, called alec, was considered the lowest form of seasoning, cheap and used only by the poor. Despite its bold reputation, garum's widespread use and role in quick, salty, and convenient food make it one of history's earliest examples of flavor-forward junk food. It turned bland meals into craveable snacks, proving that the human love for tasty but unhealthy food is anything but modern. In ancient Rome, if it smelled like garum and made you want more, it probably was junk food. 4. Ancient Roman Austria, the empire's oceanic junk food. In modern times, oysters are seen as a luxurious delicacy, but in ancient Rome, Austria, oysters were a wildly popular street food that bordered on junk food status, especially in the bustling cities of the empire. While elites enjoyed them at lavish banquets, oysters were also sold by street vendors in raw or pickled form, making them a fast, flavorful, and often questionably fresh snack for the masses. Romans loved oysters for their briny taste, aphrodisiac reputation, and ease of consumption. Wealthy citizens imported them from coastal provinces, while common folk bought them cheaply at the market. Vendors served them raw with vinegar, wine, garum, fermented fish sauce, or pepper, sometimes piled onto bread or eaten straight from the shell. The problem? Food safety standards were non-existent. Oysters often sat out in the sun, unrefrigerated and prone to spoilage. Many lower-class Romans consumed oysters that were far from fresh, leading to digestive issues or worse. But the addictive salty flavor kept them coming back for more. Like today's fast food, Austria offered instant gratification at the cost of nutrition or hygiene. In terms of health, oysters were high in minerals but were often paired with heavy sauces or salty garum, turning them into sodium bombs. Overeating them could cause digestive distress, and ancient writers sometimes joked about their dubious freshness and aftereffects. Despite the risks, Austria remained a street-side favorite throughout the empire. Their abundance, bold flavor, and quick preparation made them the ancient equivalent of a drive-through snack, satisfying, messy, and possibly regrettable later. In the end, oysters in ancient Rome weren't just a delicacy. They were indulgent, fast, and salty, making them a standout example of Rome's version of seafood junk food. 5. Ancient Roman stuffed pastries and sausages, the original handheld junk food. Long before hot dogs and meat pies filled modern food stalls, ancient Romans were already indulging in their own versions of stuffed pastries and sausages, savory, handheld snacks that can easily be classified as the junk food of their time. Street vendors and taverns across the Roman Empire sold piping hot pastries stuffed with spiced meats, cheese, or vegetables. These convenient treats, often made with oily dough and filled with heavily seasoned or preserved ingredients, were designed for quick consumption rather than nutrition. They were popular among workers, travelers, and soldiers, anyone who needed a fast, filling bite. Roman sausages, known as lucanicae, were especially beloved. Made from ground pork mixed with herbs, pepper, and garum, the infamous fermented fish sauce. They were either grilled or pan-fried and served alone or inside flatbreads. These fatty, salty, and flavorful links became so popular that they spread across the empire, influencing sausage recipes still used today. While rich in taste, these snacks were far from health food. The meat fillings often came from lower quality cuts or leftovers, and the use of salt, fat, and garum enhanced flavor but not nutrition. Some vendors even cut corners by using spoiled ingredients masked by heavy seasoning. Like modern junk food, these items were calorie-dense, addictive, and cheap, ideal for satisfying hunger but offering little in the way of balanced nutrition. Writers of the time noted the popularity of such street snacks among the lower classes and in the military. Their portability, rich flavor, and low cost made them irresistible even if they weren't the healthiest option. In short, ancient Roman stuffed pastries and sausages were the fast food of the empire. Greasy, tasty, and designed for instant satisfaction, not long-term wellness. 6. Ancient Roman nuts and fruits on the go, the empire's natural junk food. In ancient Rome, fast snacks weren't limited to bread or meat. Nuts and dried fruits were the ultimate grab-and-go options, found in markets, street stalls, and packed into soldiers' rations. While seemingly healthy by today's standards, these sweet and fatty snacks functioned much like ancient junk food, quick, tasty, and easy to overeat. Nuts such as almonds, walnuts, pine nuts, and hazelnuts were widely consumed across the Roman Empire. Often roasted and salted, they were sold loose or wrapped in leaves, perfect for snacking while walking or working. Dried fruits like figs, dates, and raisins were even more popular. Naturally sweet and energy-dense, they were sometimes coated in honey or stuffed with nuts, turning them into rich, candy-like treats. These snacks were beloved by all classes. The wealthy added them to elaborate desserts, while the poor enjoyed them as affordable sources of energy. Street vendors sold small bundles of roasted nuts or sticky date confections to passers-by, making them one of the earliest forms of pre-packaged, on-the-go snacks. But despite their natural origins, these foods packed a caloric punch. A handful of honey-glazed dates or salted nuts could easily rival the sugar and fat content of modern snack bars. With no nutritional labeling or portion control, overindulgence was common, especially during festivals and feasts. Writers like Pliny the Elder and Apicius documented the popularity of these snacks, often noting their richness and role in over-the-top Roman eating habits. In short, ancient Roman nuts and fruits were the convenient, craveable treats of the day, natural in form but indulgent in effect. Whether eaten by laborers on the move or nobles between courses, they were the empire's answer to sweet and salty cravings. Fast, flavorful, and irresistibly snackable. The thermopolium, the ancient Roman diner. The thermopolium was Rome's answer to a fast food diner. With a long L-shaped counter and built-in dolia, it was staffed by cooks and servers who dished out meals from steaming pots. These shops were social hubs, especially for workers, travelers, and the poor. Much like a modern diner or food cart, they provided affordable and ready-to-eat meals for those without time or space to cook at home. A famous example, the Pompeii thermopolium. A remarkably preserved thermopolium was uncovered in Pompeii in 2020, complete with frescoes advertising the menu, chickens, fish, and even a dog. Analysis of food remains found traces of duck, pig, goat, beans, and wine. Underscore 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 underscore. Was it healthy? Roman junk food wasn't necessarily unhealthy by today's standards. While many items were high in salt, thanks to garum or carbs, lots of bread and porridge. They also included legumes, nuts, fruits, and fish. It wasn't deep-fried, but food safety was a concern. No refrigeration meant spoilage was common. Spices and garum helped mask off flavors. Some vendors were known for selling low-quality or contaminated foods, which led Roman satirists like Juvenal and Martial to mock greasy spoons and shady street vendors. Ancient Roman drinks. The original fast beverages. Fast food wasn't complete without something to drink. Popular options included ancient Roman Pasca, the empire's original fast beverage. Long before energy drinks and sugary sodas, the ancient Romans had Pasca, a quick, tangy beverage that served as the go-to refreshment for soldiers, laborers, and the lower classes. Made by mixing sour wine or vinegar with water and sometimes herbs, Pasca was cheap, hydrating, and surprisingly popular across the Roman Empire. Pasca wasn't a luxury drink. In fact, it was made from acetum, the low-quality sour wine that was unfit for elite consumption. By diluting it with water and occasionally adding ingredients like mint, coriander, or honey, Romans created a sharp-tasting but refreshing drink. While it might sound unappetizing today, Pasca had practical advantages. The vinegar killed bacteria in questionable water sources, and the acidity helped quench thirst after a hard day's work. Roman soldiers relied on Pasca to stay hydrated during campaigns. It was light to carry, didn't spoil easily, and provided a mild pick-me-up without the intoxication of wine. Even in city life, Pasca was the fast beverage of choice at street stalls and taverns, quickly poured, easy to make, and extremely affordable. Despite its health benefits, Pasca wasn't exactly gourmet. It lacked nutritional value and was often consumed in large amounts because of its accessibility, making it the ancient equivalent of a low-cost, mass-consumed drink. Its sour bite and widespread use made it a cultural staple, but also a symbol of economic status. as only the poor or practical drank it regularly. In many ways, Pasca was the Roman world's original fast beverage. Cheap, portable, thirst-quenching, and easy to produce in bulk. Whether on the battlefield or in the city streets, it kept the empire going one sour sip at a time. Ancient Roman mulsum, the sweet and social fast beverage. In the world of ancient Rome, where wine flowed freely and communal dining was a central part of life, mulsum stood out as a popular and accessible fast beverage. A mixture of wine and honey, mulsum was the go-to drink for those seeking a sweet, mildly intoxicating refreshment, served quickly at gatherings, taverns, or even on the go. Mulsum was typically made by blending young, light wine with a generous portion of honey, and sometimes infused with herbs or spices. Unlike traditional aged wines reserved for formal banquets, mulsum was simpler and sweeter, meant to be consumed early in a meal or during casual social events. Its smooth, syrupy flavor made it especially appealing to both seasoned drinkers and newcomers. Fast and easy to prepare, mulsum became a common offering at inns and street-side food stalls. Vendors would ladle it out into cups, often warm or room temperature, providing a cheap and satisfying alternative to stronger wines. The drink's sweetness masked the harsher flavors of low-quality wine, making it more palatable for the masses. Much like modern sugary cocktails or pre-mixed drinks, though made from natural ingredients, mulsum was high in sugar and alcohol, making it more of a treat than a health drink. Its popularity, especially among the lower and middle classes, came from its affordability, taste, and instant availability, earning it a place as one of Rome's original fast beverages. Whether served at the start of a banquet or in a bustling market, mulsum was the Roman answer to quick, flavorful refreshment. Sweet, simple, and social, it offered a burst of pleasure in every cup, much like the fizzy, sweetened beverages we consume today. In ancient terms, mulsum was the original Roman happy hour in a mug. Ancient Roman spiced wine, the empire's original warm fast beverage. In the bustling streets and lively taverns of ancient Rome, one beverage offered warmth, flavor, and comfort in a single cup, spiced wine, or conditum paradoxum. This flavorful drink was a Roman favorite, sweet, aromatic, and quick to serve, making it one of the original fast beverages of the ancient world. Spiced wine was made by combining red wine with honey and a blend of exotic spices such as pepper, saffron, cinnamon, and bay leaves. Sometimes dates or resin were added for extra sweetness and aroma. The result was a rich, warming drink that stimulated the senses and masked the flaws of lower quality wine. Unlike the aged wines reserved for elite feasts, spiced wine was often served warm and fresh at street vendors, inns, and bathhouses. Its rich, sweet profile and pleasant aroma made it popular among all social classes. It could be ladled out quickly and was often enjoyed before meals or during festivals, much like mulled wine at winter markets today. The drink's speed of preparation and wide availability made it the fast beverage of choice, especially in colder seasons. It was praised not just for its taste but also for its supposed health benefits, warming the body, aiding digestion, and lifting the spirits. However, with its combination of sugar, alcohol, and spices, spiced wine was more of a comfort drink than a nutritious one. Romans loved it because it was cheap, tasty, and easy to come by, qualities that defined fast beverages across time. Whether enjoyed in a tavern or carried in a flask, spiced wine offered a quick escape from the daily grind. In many ways, Roman spiced wine was the ancient version of a seasonal latte or mulled cocktail, delicious, indulgent, and always in demand. Modern parallels. Today's fast food, burgers, fries, pizza differs in form, but not in function. Ancient Roman junk food was quick, meant to be eaten fast or on the go. Cheap, designed for the average laborer or poor citizen. Satisfying, high in carbs, fat, and salt. Modern food courts and food trucks echo the function of the thermopolium, places to grab a hot meal, mingle, and keep moving. Conclusion. While McDonald's and kebab shops dominate today's fast food scene, ancient Romans had their own rich culture of street food and quick meals. Whether it was bread slathered in garum, a cheesy honey cake, or a spiced sausage from a street vendor, Roman junk food was flavorful, fast, and deeply woven into urban life. Their dining habits reveal not just culinary creativity, but also the rhythms of life in a bustling empire, where even grabbing a bite was an experience tied to class, culture, and community.